Max, other news come out of this week. You're now the captain of the Melbourne Football Club. Yep. Congratulations.
Nah, that's it's a pretty big privilege, isn't it, when you actually think about it? Obviously, been vice captain the last 2 years, leadership group the last 4 or 5. So I don't think much really changes when you're skipper. You're just the guy who's going to cop it more out of the media probably, and when you're really down in the trenches, you're probably the guy that people will follow. And but I felt like that was similar to when I was vice with Jack and Nathan are now technically my vices as well, so would probably still work as a 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get to captain a footy club. Haven't done that before. I got pretty close at my local football club at under 14s, but just missed the vote to this little forward pocket who everyone loves. He was no good at footy, but everyone loved. And he managed to get the captaincy, and he was a horrible speaker as well. But since then, I haven't been captain, so it's going to be an interesting. I have actually. Jack's been injured a bit, so I've stepped in a couple of times, and I've got a pretty good record as well.
So how does it work? Is it a player vote?
It is. It's been a player vote the last 10 years, but it changes every year. So sometimes it's vote for your 10 players. Sometimes it's vote just one player, and you got to do it in front of all the boys.
So will you stand up in front of the boys?
Say your
Max
vote.
is going to be captain.
This time we just
Really?
So this time we just did 3 votes. You had to vote captain, vice captain, deputy captain. So it was like a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And it was anonymous. I don't think player vote has all the sway in it. I'm pretty sure the board and the CEO and the coaches would have some input. Well, I hope they would, because it's a pretty important decision for the club. They're leading the club forward, and so yeah, the player vote came out with me on top. Jack wasn't too far behind, to be honest, and that's why it's pretty much a clear captain, vice captain, 2-man leadership group, which is the first time ever in football since the 90s that we've gone to 2-man leadership groups. It's always seemed to be the more the merrier, which I kind of like. I feel like when you're not in the leadership group, and from my experiences, you sort of sit back and make the leaders lead. Mm-hmm. But now there's only 2. You're sort of forcing everyone else to lead. Where not knocking Brisbane, like it's probably going to work having 9 leaders.
Yeah,
but
I don't know about that.
When you're outside of
half the squad.
Yeah, if I had 9 leaders at my club, I'd sit back almost if I was not a leader, and I feel like I'm so far away from being in that 9 because I'm not even in the 9. Like I must be ages away. So that's how I feel. But then also Brisbane had that last year as well, and they made it work for them. So. I think there's plenty more ways to skin a cat than just leadership groups, but I do like it.
What changes for you?
I don't think much. Captain's armband. Imagine that. Imagine what I put on a captain's armband.
Why don't we have that in AFL? Like soccer, captain's armband.
Yeah.
Hockey, captain's armband.
Every time you go to the bench, you have to give it to someone on the way off.
Yeah, I guess there's a bit of that.
And I'd already locked in a couple of media opportunities this year, so I was already going to be everywhere anyway, which... I'm not sure if people like, but I managed to find my way onto different sort of networks, and
the big Stanley Street social podcast.
Stanley Street social podcast is obviously my favourite to come on, because I can do it at my East End wine bar. Although I do love the MAP headquarters in North Melbourne, but geez, it can take me 4 hours to get there sometimes. So East End, I'm happy with. No, I don't think much changes. I've got to work out 22 things to say now before 22 games of footy. That can be a nerve-wracking... I've done that obviously 3 times when Jack's been injured. It's a nerve-wracking minute. Nerve-wracking 2 minutes leading up to that minute.
Like, so you have it prepared? You just don't go off the cuff?
Go through your head what you're going to say, and then you get to the moment, and then you forget everything you're going to say. So I feel like I'm going to... Because we're trying to get more leaders into the football club, I'm going to throw it to a few people. Get some young guys to get in there and say a joke or something. That'll be fun.
That's what Richmond seem to do, don't they? You always see the camera zoom in on them and then they're laughing before the game.
Everyone's copying Richmond. One thing Richmond do is they have a footy trip every year that about 40 guys go to, so I'm going to be pushing that agenda this year as well.
Do you have to nominate? Or if you don't want to be captain and you get voted in the captain, I imagine that's very unlikely, but do you have to put your hand up to say, yes, I'd like to be captain?
We've only had people in the past who have said, don't vote for me this year. It's only happened maybe twice. I know Tom McDonald stepped down one year and just wanted the year off and made it pretty clear to everyone that he just wanted the year off and hasn't been voted in since. So that year off's turned to 4 years. But and I think everyone just presumed Nathan wasn't a vote this year that he was going to get. So everyone wants to be a leader. Everyone wants to lead the club forward. But it is a fair bit of I'm a week in, and the amount of extra stuff I've done, like it's pretty big if you're not ready for it. So, but everyone's quite smart if who they throw the votes out to. They know that people want to lead.
Yeah.
Who's the best leader you've ridden with?
Mickey Shah was pretty good. The Swiss rider for BMC, and now he's with CCC. He was a good leader on the road.
Why?
I think you just had everyone's respect, and I don't know. It seems to be a lot of the time not a lot of the time, but all the successful teams in sport, the leader's not necessarily the best player. If you look at some of the best soccer teams of all time, Roy Keane for Manchester United, not the best player, but a good leader. Carlos Puyol for Barcelona. Just people that just lead by example, not necessarily the best player. But what do you think about that? Do you have any leaders that you look up to and want to be like, or any views on that?
There's just so many different ways to lead. Darren Burgess, who's now our head sportsman, he was just at Liverpool and Arsenal, and he spoke about Steven Gerrard. He said Steven Gerrard did not say a word midweek. Monday to Friday would be very quiet, very insular, and then game day he was just played unbelievably, played exactly what the team wanted, was very vocal on the pitch, and then back to Monday he'd be quiet again, wouldn't talk in team meetings, and he's one of the more successful captains going around. Oh, maybe not successful, but one of the more skilled leaders going around. We've had 6 captains since I've been at the club, and they've all led in different ways, and I think the core one is the relationships you build with your people around. So obviously Shah built relationships with his team, and that's similar to what I want to try and do, and at the moment I've got them because I got voted in, so I can only lose them. I can only lose them now, so I've just got to sort of keep doing what I'm doing. I think that's why it's quite refreshing to have a captain that doesn't change, and I've seen lots of captains that have changed, lots of captains that haven't changed. So I think it's quite refreshing when you vote someone in. That's why you get voted in, because that's what they want. So the best leaders are the guys that just get it done game day, really. They get it done in the race. James McDonald, my first ever captain, just got it done game day. He was super at it. So Trent Cotchin's doing that at the moment.
Yeah.
Taking a backward seat as well, defending Dusty's man, which is a pretty selfless captain. I don't think I'm good enough to defend Clayton Oliver's man yet, because Clayton Oliver's man's a pretty skilled midfielder. I don't think I'll be able to do that. I can help him out, but yeah, I'd love to sit down with like a Luke Hodge or a Trent Cotchin or something, like someone who's got that leadership aura about them, and speak to them and ask them what they did. But I'm going to do it my way anyway.
Yeah.
It's only been a week now, a bit under a week, since it was announced, but have you felt any difference in terms of you're the face man now, you're the go-to for the media now, not that you weren't before? Is there anything different, or really is it just all...
We had a bit of a broken week last week. We had a lot of school clinics because we didn't have a game. We was in like 2 weeks between practice games, so last week was AFL requirements. We put them all in 1 week. We had our team photo, we had our family day, we had back-to-back clinics. I've been in rehab still with my knee, so I haven't been training with the boys. So I haven't really done anything. Like I haven't really seen that. I haven't even done a group sort of talk yet. I sent an email on the weekend to the group. That was my first sort of contact as captain. Signed off as skip. And I presume leading into hopefully the game that I'll play this week, I can get a little bit more hands-on and start to see if it's any different. But at the moment, nothing's really different.
Mm.